Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Dhea Pertiwi. My student number is 9. I am from class 4A of English Education Department, Syarif Hidayatullah State Islamic University, Jakarta. In this occasion, I would like to story retell my third novel in this semester, which entitled The Outcast by Okky Madasari. So here, the physical look of this book. It has 264 pages. Well, let's start our story. The story is about beliefs and people's perspectives towards it. Our main character here is Maryam Haryati. Maryam is a woman who lives in her banishment because of her and her family's beliefs. Maryam was born in Ahmadiyya family. Her parents are Ahmadiyya worshippers, so they called Ahmadi. Ahmadiyya is an Islamic religion in general, but people in the years 2000 to 2005 hated them because they assumed Ahmadi was a heresy. Besides her faith, Maryam also suffered in her marriage in this book, in this story. Well, to begin the story, for the first time, she dated a man when she lives in Jakarta for work. She wandered to Jakarta from Lombok. She left her family in Lombok for work and didn't come back for dozens of years. Maryam met a man named Alam. Alam is an Islamic man, but he isn't Ahmadi like Maryam. Maryam in Jakarta never admits that she is Ahmadi. She knew if people knew about that, she would be excommunicated. Even with Alam's parents, she never admits that. Long story short, until Alam's parents knew about that, they didn't allow Alam to continue his relationship with Maryam. But after several moments of coaxing, they give a blessing to Alam and Maryam to marry each other. But their marriage didn't last long because Maryam isn't pregnant yet, whereas Alam's mother always asked questions about that. Alam's mother asked Alam to divorce Maryam, and then he did it. Maryam is back again alone in Jakarta. She only works for herself, and then someday she thinks to go back to Lombok, her village. She decided to continue her life and never come back to Jakarta anymore. Well, her story about banishment begins. When she arrived at her village, there were no friendly neighbors to greet her. She firstly think maybe she comes back after a long time, so there are no people recognize her. When she arrives at her home, she found her home very quiet. When she was young, her family had a servant. It turns out their servant until work there until that day. She asked her servant that still works in that house. He's Jamil. Jamil told all of the stories that made Maryam shocked and sad. She was very guilty about her departure to Jakarta because so many stories happened in her family, especially sad story. Her family was banished from the neighborhood because they are Ahmadi. Well, guys, it is so sad, of course. Yep, after all the explanations from Jamil, he gives Maryam the new address of her parents. Maryam goes to her parents' new house. They live in a cluster with other Ahmadi who had been banished from the village. Maryam arrived at her parents' house. She told everything that she had been through during her wander in Jakarta. Her parents also told the story that happened without Maryam there. All of them are the same as Jamil told to Maryam. After several months in Lombok, Maryam was introduced by her parents to a man the same as her, Ahmadi. He is Umar. Long story short, Maryam and Umar married. Maryam and Umar run the business together. They also always attend recitations by held by Ahmadi, and then guys, Maryam became Ahmadi as she used to because of Umar. Alhamdulillah. Well, after several years of attending recitations, which at first have a smooth process, the riot comes back again when Maryam's parents hold the recitations. It is a meeting among Ahmadi for Maryam after giving birth to her first daughter. The villagers attack them and also assault them as a heresy. Even though it was at Ramadan month, it kept them attacking Ahmadi who met for kindness sake. The villagers say that Ahmadi disturbed peacefulness in the village, so that they chased away the Ahmadi group even from their own home. At the end of the riot, the Ahmadi group moved to a building called the Transito building. It is so sad because they have to sleep in a pity way. After all, the Transito building has no something stuff that is suitable for living life. Fortunately, Maryam and Umar didn't live in the same cluster as her parents, so that Maryam still has home to go back and helped her parents and the neighbor provide their food. They think it will last in a short time, but it turns out there is no clarity about it. They stayed at the Transito building for years. Umar and Maryam always tried to state this occurrence to the government, but it resulted in nothing for their settlements. Again and again, they had to stay in the Transito building, and time flies, and they had 7 years. 7 years to count. Can you imagine that? That is a long time for them to live together without proper conditions, of course. Many babies were born, and also many older people died, including Maryam's father, in those 7 years in shelter called Transito building. At the end of the story, the Ahmadi group has given up their life in the shelter. They hadn't expected further because they have used to it. Well, as you can hear from me, the ending of the story is Ahmadi group was gave up, and they literally stayed forever there. Alright, this is the story that I can tell you here. Hope you guys enjoy my video. I say goodbye and stay healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Talk